back to a new lesson. I hope you've all wrapped up the assignment from our first session. I'm eager to see what kinds of creatures you've dreamt up. But hey, if you're still scratching your head and drawing a blank on ideas, don't worry, this lesson's got you covered. So, without further ado, let's dive into the nitty-gritty of idea generation. Brainstorming. Gather a group or go solo and jot down as many ideas as possible within a set time frame. Don't worry about filtering. The aim is quantity over quality at this stage. Mind mapping. Start with a central concept and draw branches to related sub-concepts. This visually organizes your thoughts and can reveal connections you hadn't considered. Free writing. Take a few minutes to write non-stop about a particular topic. Don't worry about grammar or coherence. This exercise is meant to bypass your usual filters and let the ideas flow. Rebirth thinking. Look at your problem from an opposite angle. Ask yourself how you could achieve the opposite of what you want and flip those strategies around. I recommend using the free writing technique to develop some out-of-the-box ideas. Free writing is a fantastic way to tap into your subconscious mind and generate ideas. Here are some exercises to get you started. Stream of consciousness. Simply sit down and write wherever comes to mind. Don't censor or edit yourself. Do this for 10 minutes without pausing your pen or keyboard. Word association. Pick a word and start writing wherever that word inspires. If you start with tree, you might write about nature, family trees, or even branching choices in life. 3-word prompt. Incorporate 3 random words into a brief story or essay. Try to make these words as unrelated as possible to challenge your creativity. Object focus. Pick an object in the room and write about it from multiple perspectives. What does it look like? How does it feel? Does it have a scent? What could it symbolize? Character sketch. Invent a character in your mind and write down everything about them. What do they look like? What are their dreams, fears, and quirks? Emotion evoker. Think of a strong emotion like joy, anger, or sadness. Write freely about what causes this emotion, personal experiences, or a fictional scenario. Dream journal. Right after waking up, jot down as many details as you can remember about your dreams. This could be the seeds of some genuinely out-of-the-box ideas. These exercises will help you hone your creativity and idea generation skills. So, let's get back to the script. You've probably heard the terms script writing and screenwriting and wondered what the difference is. Well, you're in the right place to find out. In explainer video production, script writing and screenwriting could come into play, but they serve different functions. Script writing here generally refers to the writing of narration or voiceover script. This is the backbone of your explainer video. It outlines what will be said and helps convey the message you want to convey to your audience. Screenwriting, on the other hand, would involve writing the visual elements that accompany the script, like what kind of animations or graphics will be shown on screen while the narration is being played. It sets the scene, dictates the actions, and often includes technical directions for the video production team. Script writing is like the audio, the spoken content, the message you're trying to convey. Screenwriting is like the video, the visual aspect, what the viewer sees on the screen. Both elements need to work in harmony to create a compelling explainer video. So, the most straightforward way to start is divide your explainer video planning into an audio and video column. This lets you think clearly about the spoken content and how it will align with the visuals. For example, in the audio column, you list the voiceover script or any sound effects. In the video column, you outline the accompanying visuals or animations. Once the script is finalized, you can move on to the next stage, which is creating the storyboard. Creating an efficient storyboard involves several steps that combine creativity with organization. Here are some tips to prepare a storyboard the professional way. Outline the concept. Before you start scratching, have a clear idea of the story you're trying to tell or the information you are trying to convey. Write down the key points or milestones in your narrative. Script. Draft a script that aligns with your concept. Having a script will guide you on what needs to be visualized in each frame. 2-column format. Use a 2-column format on a document to separate audio, voiceover, music, sound effects, and visual elements. This helps align your audio and visuals precisely. Sketching. Start with rough sketches before finalizing them. This is your time to make mistakes and iterations. It doesn't need to be perfect. It's more a visual guide. Annotations. Annotate your sketches to add a context. Indicate movements, transitions, and any special effects you envision. Time codes. Include time codes to specify the length of each scene, ensuring you meet the overall length requirement for the video. Collaborate. Use a real-time collaboration platform if you're working with a team. This ensures everyone is on the same page and can contribute their part when necessary. In the Disney method, storyboards are usually reviewed in sweatbox sessions, where animators, directors, and other team members scrutinize each panel. Here is a simplified breakdown of what typical storyboard panel might include. Visual representation. This is the primary element of the panel. It's a sketch or image visually representing a specific moment, scene, or action in the storyline. Caption or dialogue. Below or adjacent to the visual, you'll often find text that indicates dialogue or voiceover. This text usually appears in a separate box or designated area to differentiate it from the other notes. Scene number and shot type. Generally located in one of the corners of the panel or below it, this information helps to organize the storyboard and indicate where each panel fits into the overall sequence. Directional arrows or indicators. These are often used within the visual representation to show movement or camera direction. For example, an arrow may indicate that a character is walking into the scene or that the camera should pan from left to right. Technical notes. These are specific indications or notes for the production team. They can include information on lighting, camera angles, or special effects. These are usually concise and use industry-standard terminology. Emotional or contextual notes. Sometimes a panel will include brief notes on the scene's emotional tone or specific character emotions that should be conveyed. Timing. In some cases, the panel may also include a time code or frame count to indicate the desired duration of the shot or action. Panels and scenes are different in the context of a storyboard. Here's how. Panel. A panel represents a single shot or viewpoint in a storyboard. It's a visual and sometimes annotated sketch that portrays what will appear in a specific shot on the screen. It may include details like camera angles, movement, and critical actions of characters or objects. Scene. A scene is a sequence of shots forming a coherent action unit, usually in a single location and time frame. It's a more prominent storytelling element consisting of multiple panels in the storyboard. Scenes often have their internal beginning, middle, and end, even though they are part of the large story. In simpler terms, if a storyboard is like a comic book, then each panel is akin to one box in the comic, while each scene is like a full page or more, containing multiple boxes. So when creating a storyboard, each scene will be represented by a series of panels that detail the different shots, actions, and camera movements that will take place during that scene. Let's talk about the 3D Motion Beats promo video. So it can be like this. Scene 1. The forest and the bug. Panel 1. Bug starting to fly. Wide shot. Panel 2. Bug flying through the forest. Wide shot. Dolly in. Scene 2. The forest clearing with the characters. Panel 1. Characters gathering around the fire in the clearing. Slide dolly in. Panel 2. Characters dancing and cooking marshmallow. Zoom in plus. Scene 3. The marshmallow. Panel 1. Close up of a marshmallow on a stick. Close up. Panel 2. Marshmallow melted. Panel 3. Marshmallow starts screaming due to burning. Panel 4. Snake Dragon's mouth catches the marshmallow. Zoom out minus. Scene 4. Dragon fight. Panel 1. The seated character realizes the danger. Slide zoom out. Panel 2. The seated character starts flying. Wide shot. Panel 3. Pulling the stick back and forth. Panel 4. The character blows Snake Dragon with a stick. Zoom in. Let's examine how the structure we discussed is implemented in the visual representation of scenes and panels. Initially, these can involve rough draft visuals, often called scamping. In our production pipeline, we use Figma. While there are various software options for storyboarding, remember the golden rule of creativity. Keep it simple. Figma is more than sufficient for our needs. As you can observe, the initial step is scamping. This involves creating quick draft visuals of your ideas, including scenes and panels. Breaking down each scene into panels make it easier to comprehend the flow. These are basic drawings that represent your concepts. If your scamping successfully conveys a general idea of your story, you can proceed to a more detailed version. Let's delve into what we've got here. As we discussed earlier, we have scenes and panels. However, we've integrated visuals, audio, timing, references, and emotional notes in this instance. I'll provide a link in the lesson description so you can review it later. This presentation will illustrate how storyboards should be presented. In this example, I've utilized scratches from our illustrator. However, in your storyboard, you can also use your scamping illustrations. Another crucial aspect is including references when collaborating with an illustrator or creating illustrations. This aids in understanding the style and colors. I've added animation references in Scene 2, Panel 1, which adds a valuable dimension. Now you're familiar with an efficient structure of storyboarding. Let's take a step back and broaden our perspective. You've already crafted the character through your unexpected, yet simple mix. Fantastic. Now let's venture into the realm of storytelling. I aim to keep things straightforward and present the widely recognized technique for crafting impactful stories. This technique is commonly called the hero's path or hero's journey. The hero's journey is a narrative template popularized by Joseph Campbell in his book The Hero with 1,000 Faces. It is often used in storytelling to outline the progression of the protagonist. The journey can be divided into stages, often grouped into 3 main parts: departure or separation, initiation, and return. First, departure. Call to adventure. The hero faces a challenge or problem that requires leaving their ordinary world. Refusal of the call. Initial hesitance or reluctance to accept the challenge. Meeting the mentor. The hero encounters a mentor who provides advice, equipment, or motivation. Crossing the threshold. The hero fully engages with the new, unknown world. Second, initiation. Tests, allies, enemies. The hero faces challenges and makes friends and foes in the new world. Approach to the innermost cave. The hero comes near the story's center and the central conflict. The ordeal. A big, often life-threatening crisis. The hero faces death or confronts their greatest fear. Reward. The hero takes possession of the treasure or achieves the goal they set out for. Third, return. The hero deals with the consequences of confronting the dark forces in the ordeal. Resurrection, a final test where the hero must prove they have changed. Return with the elixir. The hero returns to the ordinary world with some wisdom or magic to share. There is also a 3-act structure. The 3-act structure is a model used in screenwriting and playwriting that divides a fictional narrative into 3 parts, or acts, often called the setup, the confrontation, and the resolution. It simplifies a classical structure and provides a clear story construction framework. Act 1. Setup. Introduction of characters. You meet the protagonist, the antagonist, and key players. Introduction of the world. The normal world of protagonist is presented. Inciting incident. An event happens that sets the main story into motion. Conflict presentation. The core conflict or problem of the story is introduced. First turning point. The act ends at a turning point where the protagonist makes a decision or something happens that sets the course of the rest of the story, often called the point of no return. Act 2. Confrontation. Rising action. This act usually contains a series of complications and obstacles, each becoming progressively more difficult to overcome. Subplots and character development. We often see romantic entanglements, friendships, and other subplots that add depth to characters. Midpoint. This is a crucial moment that happens approximately halfway through Act 2, often marking a significant change for the protagonist, either a high point or a reversal. Dark Night of the Soul. Towards the end of Act 2, the protagonist often hits rock bottom, facing their worst fears and appearing farthest from their goal. Second turning point. Like the first turning point, this moment pivots the story into its final act. It's often where the protagonist finds new hope or motivation to confront the core conflict. Act 3. Resolution. Climax. This is the peak moment of the story where the core conflict culminates and is resolved. Fall in action. Any remaining sub-conflicts or questions are resolved. Denouement. This is the untying of the story where all loose ends are tied up. New equilibrium. The story often ends with a new normal for the characters, showing how they have changed due to the journey. The 3-act structure and the hero's journey are foundational narrative frameworks often used in storytelling, especially in movies and plays. Here is a quick comparison. Overlap. Both structures deal with a similar narrative arc, starting with a normal world, facing conflicts, and ending with some sort of resolution. They can often be overlaid on one another. For example, the call to adventure in Hero's Journey can coincide with the first turning point in the 3-act structure. Flexibility. While the hero's journey is more detailed and often includes archetypal characters like the mentor or the shadow, the 3-act structure is more flexible and can be applied to a broader range of stories. Detail versus simplicity. The hero's journey offers a more detailed template that can help to add depth and universal resonance to a story. In contrast, the 3-act structure provides a simpler, more straightforward framework focusing on the story's pacing and main plot points. Interchangeability. Many stories effectively employ both structures simultaneously. The 3-act structure could serve as the story skeleton, while the stages of the hero's journey add the flesh and muscles, providing deeper emotional and psychological context. Now let's examine our 3D Motion Beast promo, and you'll see that I've incorporated elements from both storytelling frameworks. Let's take a closer look. In the hero's journey, there are several stages like call to adventure, crossing the threshold, trials, and return, among others. Our scenario could potentially be seen as a highly abbreviated hero's journey, with the bug flying into the forest clearance serving as the call to adventure, and the confrontation with the snake dragon being the ordeal or trail. Similarly, the 3-act structure usually involves setup, confrontation, and resolution. If we stretch it, the bug flying into the forest clearance could be part of the setup. Snake dragon appearance and fight could be the confrontation, and the dragon's head exploding can be the resolution. Amazing, right? You can follow storytelling principles even in short marketing videos to make things easier for the viewer. Let's zoom out to focus on the character I created earlier. I've designed a detective character who's a mix of watermelon, pineapple, and apple, and I've named him Apple Melon Pine. Now I will craft a story for him, a 30-second promo video in the neo-noir style. We will be advertising watermelon, apple, and pineapple juice mix. I've started with a first draft, a quick, preliminary version of the script. Once you've refined the script to its final form, you can adapt it to fit the hero's journey template. As you can see, our marketing video follows all the steps outlined in the hero's journey framework. However, it's optional to include every single element. For example, I'll be skipping the mentor part. As a final step, I recommend creating a hybrid of a storyboard and a screenplay, where you can add extra annotations for camera movements, emotions, and technical notes. This will make it much easier for the illustrators to understand the full scope of the story and its emotional narrative. If you are doing the illustration work yourself, your next step would be to draft a compilation of the scenes and format them as I've shown earlier. Now it's your turn. You have the character mix that you created in the first lesson. Decide on the product you want to advertise and align it with the story narrative. In our next lesson, we'll discuss our direction. See you then!